Hello and welcome to another 5-minute tech tip with Dave Casuto here at SF Tech Training. And in this fun video, we are going to cover masking, just the basics of masking. I've done some other videos on adjustment layers and masking. And masking essentially is just basically revealing something that is in another layer. And it could be an adjustment layer like a black and white adjustment layer, or it could be levels, right? Could be colors, hue, saturation. But in this case, we're just going to do just a very basic mask on something. And all the mask does is help reveal what is underneath this layer, right? So I just have these two layers, and you'll see what I've done here. I've actually created something that was not there before. I've basically kind of poked this cute little dog through this cute little lion to make a whole new creature. Now, this is just one example of how you could do this. All right, now, you can think about a number of different examples, like maybe you want to have like a logo poke through another person's, another shirt, something like that. Or maybe you have a glass of wine and you want to have something inside that glass of wine, make it look like a fish bowl or something like that. Now, the thing I want you to take away mostly is that masking is an alternative in this case to erasing, because I can very easily bring back the lion's face if I want to. Because notice here the mask is black and white. All right, so you're going to see how the black, it basically reveals what's underneath this, and then the white is going to conceal what is underneath it. Okay, so it's a very simple process. So let me just show you how we can create something like this. So I have this here, and I'm just going to very simply just do a place of the dog. And the dog is going to go underneath the lion. All right, so I need to unlock the background. And I need to make this guy nice and big. I know it seems like he's not here, but in fact he is. And I'm going to make this just take up as much as I need to. And I don't actually really know where quite yet. And a lot of times we don't know until we kind of like line things up a little bit. And you might even want to play around with your opacity to kind of see like, well, where is it? So it's really like the eyes are going to really be helpful to kind of make that sort of lined up. Okay? So how do we even apply the mask? Okay, so super easy. I'm going to bring this back here so we can kind of have a realistic preview of what we're going to see. We apply the mask very simply by going to this little icon here. And I'm going to click on the lion layer, choose mask, and nothing really happens to the layer except for this little white box that appears. Now I need to poke a hole through this. So think about masks as like blindfolds and masks. Right now it's a total blindfold. I need to make it into a mask. I'm going to poke a hole through it. How do I do that? You are going to use the brush tool, and namely you're going to use the black brush to poke through this. All right, so you want to see what size brush you're using. I can use my right and left bracket on my keyboard to decide the size. You can also decide how much of a hardness you want, okay, depending how smooth you want to get. And I'm going to keep mine about 50%. So very easily, I can now reveal what is underneath this. Okay, and then you can see I can now move the dog. If I didn't get it right, I can move the dog up and down to have like a different look. Now let's just say I got too much. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my brush, and we're going to see back on the mask, very important, you click on it. I did that, like, oops. If I was using the erase tool, and I came back to this like weeks later, something I couldn't undo, it's permanent. This is the beauty of masks. So the opposite of the white is the black, so I can click on this, or you can just hit the X key on your keyboard, and I can just very easily bring that back. That is the beauty of masks. Okay, and I have a bunch of other videos on working with masks, and namely with adjustment layers. You can also use this when you're working with filters, particularly with smart filters. And you can see how it really, notice how I got rid of that. Okay, notice how it really makes a very realistic kind of like blend into this. Okay, and you can play around with the opacity of it and everything like that. See, I got too much. I'm going to come back, and then I'm just going to maybe make my brush a little bit smaller. And of course you can play around with the hardness of it so it really kind of blends in as it were. See, that's a little bit too much, so I get rid of that. So I'm kind of messing up on purpose so you can see kind of what happens when you do these things, how you can very easily bring them back. And maybe I want to have a little bit softer of a brush. Why? Because there's hair here, right? So I actually may want to make it so it's just a little bit more kind of subtle, so it's kind of like coming right out. It's like emerging out, just like it really is kind of growing out like hair out from this. Okay, so that's working with masks. So you really want to just play around with this. Again, lots of ways to do this, but once you get into masks, you will see that there's no going back. There's just so many great uses for it. And again, instead of using the eraser tool, try using masks because you can always go back to it. All right, so this is a 5-minute tech tip with Dave Casuto, SF Tech Training. Please like this video, share it, subscribe, find me on LinkedIn. Also find me at our website, sftechtraining.com, and we will see you in the next video.